After the Starking Delicious, we're going to plant a Satsuma Plum. You know, we have some Satsuma citrus as well, but this is a Satsuma Plum as well as a Shiro Plum. And both of those, as well as that Starking Delicious, should be good pollinators together. Again, as close as everything is over here, we shouldn't have a problem at all, but I think just going ahead and putting these in order will be great. So in this row, what we'll have is essentially that Black Beauty, I believe it's called, that we got from Ison's. We're going to have a green gauge, we're going to have a Satsuma and a Shiro. And then I started making another row with the Gift of the South in it, aka fire ants. And that's going to be our Starking Delicious. And then we'll kind of go from there. We should have enough space for at least 3 more on this row. So that should give us a pretty good variety of plums with a total number of 12 different plum varieties.
Dean Family Acres.
All right guys, so today we're going to be working on putting in some of our grafted plums and getting some other things in the ground today. Super nice weather. It's a Saturday, so we've got an opportunity to get out here and actually get some things done and hopefully be a little motivated before wintertime hits. So we're going to be up here in our upper orchard and trying to figure out exactly, I know where I want to put things, but we need to figure out exactly which one of our grafted plums we want to put up here. All right guys, so let's see exactly what we've got in here amongst everything else. Got plenty of figs. And I think I've got room. There's a worm. I think I've got room for at least 3 varieties up there. So let's see what we've got that's growing well, and that might be a good fit. Satsuma, it's not doing too bad, and it's growing straight. That's an option. Stark Delicious, which is should be a good one around us, and I think Shiro. And Sonny's yellow. All right guys, so we got several different options here. Everything from Splash to Stark Delicious to Shiro to AU Cherry and everything in between. And I think the biggest thing for us is let's just pick our top 3. We'll go ahead and see about getting those in the ground. And I also just want to make sure about pollination. I know where we're putting everything, we should be good because I'm putting them kind of tight anyway. But overall, I think we'll just make sure we're kind of thinking through that. So you're doing a little bit of research to be able to figure that out, and then we'll move forward from there. For those of you who have been following the channel for a while, this is where we have planted all of our plums, whether it be the ones we grafted that we did just 2 years ago now, or the Black Ruby that we got from Ison's here in line. This is a green gauge that we actually got when we did our order of all the apple trees. And then, so we've got all of that right here in this area, all plums or pluots of some format. So we're just gonna continue the pattern that we've got here, kind of staggering those amongst the others. So we'll kind of have a diamond shaped pattern. And eventually, I hope this will just be a bed area, or at a minimum, it will just be a strip, so I won't have to mow in between them. That's the one big pain of having an orchard, at least in my opinion, is being able to mow around things and keep things in order. The other thing is just keeping any pests away from it, such as deer or squirrels mainly around us. You might have different pests around your area, but those are the main ones here in upstate of South Carolina, zone 8A. But for now, we're gonna figure out exactly the layout and where we wanna put these and how many we've got. I grabbed the Stark, Delicious, and the Shiro for now, and then I'm probably gonna go grab at least 1 or 2 more and try and get these in line as we, again, work on this backyard orchard and what you can do in a small space. A lot of folks think, oh, well, wow, you've got 5 acres, you can kind of do pretty much whatever you would like to within reason. And in some sense that's true, but I will say that a majority of our fruit production is in a pretty small area. I would say probably if you compacted it even more so, and I didn't have things kind of down one way and around another way, we're covering less than an acre or around an acre in regards to where we actually have things planted. So you can certainly do this in a very small backyard space, or you can kind of spread it out, kind of like we've done somewhat, and have it in a much larger space. But I think planning and execution are certainly key as you kind of move forward. So let's get started. We're gonna go look for some shovels so we can get these holes dug. All right guys, so I went and grabbed the shovels and I picked up a Satsuma Plum and the AU Cherry. So that gives us 4. There is, I think, a Byron Gold and a Sonny's Yellow down there as well. We'll see how this fills up and if we want to keep going up through the row here. Or possibly even start a 3rd row. I've been trying to not move it further this way just to make sure that we have room and for a couple other reasons which I'll explain here in just a little bit. I know I'm all the time mentioning to you guys how bad the soil is up here on this upper portion where we've got the muscadines here as well as the blueberries, but just look at this. There is absolutely no topsoil, and there was an old roadbed through here at one point, and I think that's part of the issue, and you just see how dry it has been as well. But good news is, calling for rain all next week. Of course, the shovel I brought is the one that needs to be welded. All right guys, so you can see got the hole kind of squared out and might go a little bit wider, but for now that's what we're gonna do. That is some ridiculously dry dirt. And what we'll do next is I'm gonna get some compost and probably some pine bark soil conditioner. Most of these trees are already kind of in my mixture of compost, potting soil, vermiculite, perlite, those kinds of things. But certainly for that smaller one, we're gonna need to amend the soil even more. So one down, we'll bring you back whenever we're a little bit closer. I had to move this hole out just a little bit. It was too far against the other row, but that's gonna be our Starking Delicious. This is gonna be the Satsuma, and then this hole here will be our Shiro. We got a couple other ideas on these other holes, but we're just gonna have to see exactly what that ends up being, especially as hard as these holes are to dig. Each one of these are about 10 feet apart. I know that's kind of tight, but you work with what you have, and I think it's a good example of what you can do in your backyard and trying to put things in particular areas. Should certainly help with pollination, and the only thing honestly that it can kind of be a pain in the neck with is mowing grass. And if we're able to kind of make this area into strips for plantings, then it shouldn't be a problem in regards to that. And we might actually end up making this whole area, you know, just mulch, but we'll see. As lovely as it is to weed all the time, I don't know that I want to do that. I'd really rather mow the grass, but if they're really tight together, then you can't really do that either. Not sure how many of these guys you have at your place, but we've got quite a few. And they are kind of intimidating looking, but according to the research that I've seen, they're basically riding spider. They're just kind of invasive from Asia, and they are spreading all over the US. And their webs are super sticky. That's the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of. Pretty crazy. All right guys, so we got 3 holes dug. The ground and soil is extremely dry, so we're kind of dealing with what we can. I've gone through 2 shovels, broke a handle on one, and the other one I need to get welded because it's split. It's been like that for a while, but with the soil as hard as it is, it's just not worth using hardly. Anyway, so we've decided what varieties we're going to put in these 3 holes. And that's going to be Starking Delicious Plum. And that was actually originally called Johnson, from my understanding and research. And Stark Brothers actually introduced that many years ago. So that is going in. After the Starking Delicious, we're going to plant a Satsuma Plum. You know, we have some Satsuma citrus as well, but this is a Satsuma Plum, as well as a Shiro Plum. And both of those, as well as that Starking Delicious, should be good pollinators together. Again, as close as everything is over here, we shouldn't have a problem at all, but I think just going ahead and putting these in order will be great. So in this row, what we'll have is essentially that Black Beauty, I believe it's called, that we got from Ison's. We're going to have a green gauge. We're gonna have a Satsuma and a Shiro. And then I started making another row with the Gift of the South in it, AKA fire ants. And that's gonna be our Starking Delicious. And then we'll kind of go from there. We should have enough space for at least 3 more on this row. So that should give us a pretty good variety of plums with a total number of 12 different plum varieties. So 2 of those are actually some of the rootstock that we got from one of our friends at church. So in reality, it's another variety. I'm not sure if it is a Santa Rosa or something like that, but we'll see whenever it starts producing. And we're gonna graft onto one of those. One was originally a spring satin, and it did not make it. It died back down to the ground and then grew back up after being in the ground about 1.5 years. It is what it is. Here we go. We'll get these in the ground. I'm actually out of my favorite soil amendment, which is that pine bark soil conditioner, but we'll make do. We've got compost here, and then these are in like about 3-gallon pots, so it shouldn't be quite as bad as you might think. My issue in this hole will be our good friends, the Gift of the South, fire ants. As we've discussed in other planting videos, you just want to make sure that you're paying attention to your soil height and depth and going from there. I will say, get a little closer to you guys, all of these we grafted in the last couple of years, and I kind of picked the ones that the graft looked pretty good. That spring satin when we planted it, had a little bit of a bulge on the graft union, and I really think that might have been why it didn't make it. So just think about that when you are grafting. Could be some compatibility issues. Again, I'm using plum rootstock of an unknown variety. So if you're going to plan this out and you know the known variety, you can kind of do a little more research. But so far, things have worked pretty well for these. All right, let's see if we can get this out of here without disturbing our gift of the South again. There we go. And you can see we got some pretty good roots there. Need to come up just a little bit. At this point, doing my best just to try and get these big chunks broken up. This soil is so hard. And I also want to pay attention to how these are growing. Kind of want to stand it up like that, and you can see my hole as a whole, dad joke, is lopsided here because of the spacing, but essentially I want to do it like that and kind of take a little bit off this side here to help it even out. All right, guys, don't forget to water this stuff in, especially if you got some potential for air gaps there. Put a little bit on it, and then all right, guys, so that got us our starking Delicious Plum in, and now we're gonna move on to the next one, which is gonna be our Satsuma. We will come back and get these mulched in pretty good too. Thankfully, it's gonna be raining in the next this coming week pretty well. Really wish we had some of that pine bark soil conditioner, because I just think it really helps with drainage and breaking down this clay, especially when you just got no good topsoil. Put a little extra in this hole because this Satsuma is only in a 1 gallon. All right, I did water all of these a little bit before putting them in. Well, we got some roots here. All right, now Let's evaluate our height. Looks pretty good. And which way is this gonna grow? I'll go that way. The reason I'm doing that is because overall, it's got a little bit of a shoot here, which we'll probably prune off. But I've learned if I put this towards the sun, which is that way, then ultimately what's gonna happen is this is gonna take off. If you put it the other direction, it's gonna force some things to grow this other way. And also looking at these other, let them grow up like that. Looks pretty good. All right, you can see the Satsuma there. And next we're gonna get this yeah, we got some pretty good roots there. Bring y'all a little bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about with the spacing. You see how these are growing up and over, and you might be tempted to make them point towards the sun. But if you do that, as I mentioned earlier, that's the direction they're going to grow towards. You'll have a hard time trying to get things to grow back this way. So you want to think about that when you're laying out your positioning of your trees and which direction they're going to go. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but this one, probably what I'll do is actually put a little bit of a lean to it so that those can kind of go up, and I might need to put a stake on this one, but we'll figure it out. I think the main key, at least from what I'm trying to share, is don't be tempted to put the growth that's going this direction towards your sun. And the other one might end up not making it long term, but just do that and kind of see those roots on the top there. That's okay. That height will still be right here, and we can kind of make it happen. Just a little bit of compost left. I don't feel as bad about that with these 3-gallon pots. They've got pretty good soil right around them, so they can establish. And some people say don't amend the soil at all. I just know, especially up here, this soil is horrible. Getting close to lunchtime, I think. At least that's what my stomach's telling me. All right, it's looking pretty good. And we will water it in, and then we'll get our mulch. All right, guys, so we were able to get the Stark Delicious, the Satsuma and the Shiro in. And I always try and put names on my pots so that I know, and I've got some metal tags. I'll come out here and put some on these because honestly, a lot of the videos I do, it helps keep me straight in regards to what's where. And I can remember some of it, but what if something happens to me or you know, anything else? I just think it's always good to kind of think towards the future, especially for you know, future generations, future homeowner, whatever it might be. I think it's helpful for them to know. Same situation for where I got these rootstock from. You know, it would be helpful for me to know what exactly it is. And I probably could go out and see when they are producing what it is. For instance, the Shiro, I grafted it in March of 24, and then I repotted it in May of 25 up to this, I guess 3 gallon. And it's on my F rootstock, and that's the family's last name. So I know where that came from, and I can see exactly how it is doing and how it does. The Satsuma, I don't know the rootstock, but I do know, which probably means that it is a C rootstock because I didn't label them the first year, but I grafted that one on March 8th of this year, 2025, and you can see how much growth it's put on. And honestly, if it hadn't been potted, or if I had a automated sprinkler system or something, drip, whatever, on those trees that I graft, I bet they would be double or triple the size. I just don't do a good job of staying on top of watering them consistently in regards to just helping them with growth. Sometimes that is kind of stunts them. But I think that, you know, just seeing what things do once they get out here and they're in the ground, water them a little bit after you plant them in the fall, preferably. If you can't plant them in the fall, then I would encourage you, plant them in the winter. As long as your ground is not frozen solid, or you're not expecting some polar vortex coming through and you're in zone 8 or so, don't worry about it. Just plant away, you're totally fine all the way into spring. You can continue to plant if you want to, but you're really gonna have to stay on top of watering. The advantage of fall is that you can plant like I'm doing here, and I'll water them now. I might water them one more time, and then after that, they should be good to go. I'll still water them if we have a super dry spell in the spring or summer, but ultimately you can kind of just let them ride. So again, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's going to be a video over here and a playlist over here of fruit on our farm. Hopefully you enjoy this content enough that you'll subscribe as well. If you don't want to do that, then at least check out that fruit on the farm. We've got tons of videos of us planting, harvesting, pruning, all those things. Anything about fruit on our place is in this playlist.